Why is it that we grind at our jobs so hard and play so little? The limited time off that we earn is a valuable resource that we hoard away for the things in life that we like most. PTO is all about the hobbies we do with our time off and what they do for us. Who knows? You might even find a new thing to try with your PTO. Or a sick day. Just don't tell the boss when it's a sick day. Welcome to the Paid Time Outdoors podcast.
We kind of did a process to where we're doing our own summer sausage, and it's pretty good, man. We got a creek in our backyard. My kids have been in the woods all day, every day since they were babies, you know.
Welcome to the Paid Time Outdoors podcast. I'm here with my friend Jake. I met Jake probably like 4 years ago or so at an archery tournament. I was looking for some folks to shoot with, and I look around and I see this big dude in jorts. So naturally, he's a goofy dude, kind of like me, and we seem to get along pretty well. So Jake, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, what's up, Marcus? Good talking to you, buddy. Yeah, been in the bow hunting league. Me and Steve kind of hard to keep up with you this year, but yeah, man, awesome meeting you back there.
What do you remember from way back when we met at that archery shoot? I think it was a working class bow hunter shoot we met at like 4 or 5 years ago. What do you remember from there?
So that I know that would have been the first shoot that I ever went to. I actually went there with my good buddy Jake Grissom. He's went there one other time with me, and then our buddy John, who I think we got into shooting a bow maybe a month before we made it out there. So it was more of like a boys trip, you know, just kind of hanging out and having a good time. But we met you and a couple other guys out there at the shoot that year. I think that year, was that the year that did you win that year? Or were you in the finals of the shoot, I think that year
took
maybe?
second.
Okay, I thought so. I remember you
Yeah, so they do like a shoot off at...
Yeah, shotgun a beer and everything, man. But the working class guys out there close, I mean, it's a 6-7 hour drive for us, but well worth the trip. And then the last time I went, I took my wife, my pregnant wife at the time, and my son Tucker. So yeah, good times, but yeah.
Yeah, that first year, so the first year that we went, I ended up taking second to Chris J, and I won like a really nice tree stand. And the only way that I passed third place is instead of like sipping a beer, I'd shotgunned it. So I got to pass him up that way. And then the year after that, you won like a cooler and a bunch of stuff that year. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've like every year so I go typically every other year, which would set me up for going this year. And Tucker's already asking, and I think we're trying our best. I think I might have some vacation time planned around then. It just depends. Butcher chickens, raise my own meat birds, and do some different stuff. So it just kind of depends what how everything falls. But yeah, we'll see.
I got hopes, and they moved that shoot too for a little earlier when it's not so damn hot. So that should be nice.
Yeah, not Father's Day weekend also. So I think that's going to help out a little bit. And yeah, there's been but it's been pretty damn hot out there, dude.
Yeah. Usually it's like an August shoot in the middle of Illinois. Woof. Corn sweats, dude.
Yeah.
All right. So we met at a bow shoot, and then from there we kind of kept in touch. We joined the Bow Hunter League. Those of you who don't know what the Bow Hunter League is you get a group of 3 dudes. You have basically a virtually big buck contest. And so, you know, since then it's been a nice way to keep in touch with you. And then my buddy Steve from college, his last name's Chojanaki. I call him Steve Chode. Kind of met him in a funny way in college. He was like an assigned roommate for me and my buddy Ben for this like summer field experience thing, and me and my buddy Ben were pretty rowdy. We were pretty heavy in the rugby at that time, and he didn't know what he had coming. We got real rowdy when we were supposed to be doing schoolwork and fighting each other, and it was awesome. So from there, didn't Steve even come out? He came out and hunted with you in Ohio, didn't he?
Well, he didn't hunt with me, but he hunted with guy that I've recently connected with. I keep in touch with Matt too, that I met through Steve. But yeah, it was weird because I met Steve through you for the bow hunting league, and then he was hunting within way a crow flies like 5 miles from my lease, and he ended up crashing here for a couple days in my shop. I gave him like a little sauna experience. It was like cold, and then it got warm, and I had the wood burning stove. got real hot, something that you'll have to have Steve on one of these times to help tell you about that. But yeah, it's no, great guy. I keep in touch with him all the time, and I've up in Wisconsin. Maybe one of these times I'll have to pull in the favor and head up there and see Steve
Yeah, that'd be fun, or even to get both you on here at the same time during the season. That way we could talk about what's going on with us in the naturehood.
for sure.
Yeah. So let's get right to it, man. So you've probably worked a few jobs. You're what, in your 30s still, right?
Yeah, I'm 38. Yep, close to
38.
40.
Okay. I turned 37 this year. I'm catching up, buddy.
Yeah.
So, can you think back of like one of your first paid jobs that you ever had? Like what kind of job did you start off with?
So I actually grew up cleaning cars and cleaning up body shops. My grandpa owned a body shop. My dad still works in a body shop. My grandpa actually is 84, still works on cars to this day. Yeah, so I grew up working for my grandpa's body shop when he had that, helping out in there, doing what I could, learning a little bit, making a little bit extra money to, buy some beer to go hang out and do whatever I probably shouldn't have been doing in high school.
Right on. Those times are so valuable. Like we have it's funny to reflect on like high school and those times now. So like my buddy Ken, he was like the episode 1 of this podcast. We used to sneak beer into his house when his parents were there. His room was on the second floor of the house, and he would lower down a rope and we'd tie up cases of beer and he'd pull them up his window, and we would just knock on his front door and we'd just go right in the front door at his house.
Oh, man. Yeah. Hey, ingenuity, you'll come up with all kinds of stuff to get some alcohol in high school. That's for sure.
You betcha. You worked in cleaning cars, and do you keep your car meticulously clean now? I know you've got two young kids, or has that kind of fallen behind you?
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't. One of those things, you do it for so long I don't know. No, not really. With 2 little boys, I got a 5-year-old, a 1.5-year-old, and life's pretty busy at this point. So no, the cars don't stay as clean and I help out, lend a hand when I can with my dad here and there and every once in a while, but I don't work on cars quite like I used to. Kind of switched fields there
Mhm.
a couple times in life, but yeah.
Yeah, well, what are you doing now?
So as of now, I deliver food with a commercial driver's license, drive a tractor trailer, deliver to like your schools, nursing homes, some of your different restaurants and stuff like that. A lot of your mom and pop local things to my area. It's a neat
Mm,
position, I guess. It for the amount of hours that I work, they pays pretty decent, and we kind of make your own time frame. I mean, you can start as soon as the trailer gets there, up into a certain time, and then once the truck's unloaded, you're done for the day. There's no punching in and punching out per se. I guess it's you get paid kind of a
mhm.
piece rate, a little bit of a commission type deal. Working on your own, but yeah, it's it's different. It's cool. I got some buddies that I actually 2 guys that I graduated high school with. We all work out of the same little drop yard. There's only 8 of us work out of this drop yard. Some younger
Mhm.
fellas in there have a pretty good group in there now. We stop down at the local watering hole usually on Fridays after everybody kind of gets done every once in a while and have,
Yeah.
a legal out before we take ourselves home. And yeah, it's big. I enjoy it. It provides for the family, and that's the most important thing. Gives me the, funds to do the things I wanna do.
Mhm. What does the, paid time off look like? I mean, do you get, like, a combined sick days and vacation days? How does that look?
Yeah, so we have vacation days, and then we have, PTO days, personal days, I guess, is what you would call them. So, yeah, we have days that, we schedule everything with us is typically scheduled around Christmas time for the whole following year, which makes it a little difficult with trying to plan, like, a rutcation for a whitetail hunt or something like that.
Mhm.
But we do get PTO days that if something's available and we wanna take it off and, it's a little bit closer to that time frame and they can make it work, typically, they're pretty good about working with you. So, yeah, a day here and there off, but typically, you're not gonna get a week off outside of scheduling that, year in advance.
Holy cow. Huh. Well, and I bet you having, a couple of kids at the same time, I know random stuff happens. I mean, I was a kid that, would split open a part of my body and need stitches, or, I'd break myself and have to go to the ER from time to time. I bet you that's a little challenging there, isn't it?
I mean, it can be. Yeah, and I got some pretty feral children, you know, so Tucker's a little wild, and then his youngest brother's not too far behind him, so but no, it's awesome, man. I've had my oldest boy with me to kill a turkey last year, and he's been with me on multiple deer hunts that I've killed, so it's pretty cool. I think we're gonna get him out for youth season this year. He's 5, little young, but, he's
Mhm.
raised in it, and it's he asked me. It wasn't a push to get him to do it. He's been trying to get a deer killed last year, and I told him, "We're gonna wait a little bit longer, buddy." But, yeah, it's
Mhm.
awesome, man. I love getting kids into it. I've had my nephew get into it, here recently, so it's pretty neat.
Yeah, before the podcast started, I had a chance to talk with Tucker, and he was telling me that he's gonna kill a turkey with a beard that's this long.
I'd be perfectly okay with that.
Well, so let's say you're working and you planned out, your schedule a year out to have some time off. The weather's going to be perfect for that thing that you like the most. What are you typically spending your PTO or your paid time off doing?
Typically, it's gonna be every November, usually whether it's the last week of October, first week of November, second week of November, I'm taking off at least a week, scheduling in advance, for whitetail hunting. Typically around here, really traveled to whitetail hunt, building up points in Iowa. We'll be up to, I think, 4 or 5 this year. So eventually I'm going to pull the trigger on that, trying to figure it out with the kids and life and everything. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
whitetail is the main outside of family. I take off here and there for, the wife and the youngest son have the same birthday. So I take off a week for that. I take off a week for the garden in May. We grow a lot of our own food, raise our own food and stuff like that. But yeah, if I'm
Mhm.
taking it off personally for myself, it's for deer hunting.
Yeah. And I'm thinking if you're taking time for yourself, obviously family comes
Yeah, for
first and
sure.
making sure
For
everyone's
sure.
well and cared for, but if you're
Yeah.
getting like a vacation for Papa Jake, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so whitetail hunting is it. I'm coming to find that a lot of the people that I talk with or associate with are deer hunters. Like I'm friends with other humans outside of deer hunting, but
Mhm.
it seems like us and camouflage seem to flock together.
Yeah.
So whitetail hunting, you gun hunt, you bow hunt, you karate chop deer. How do you like to hunt them?
So typically I try to bow hunt, especially, like we talked about earlier, I'm in the bow hunting league with Marcus. And so up until I kill my buck, we're not taking a gun out. I don't care if it's gun season and I haven't killed anything, the bow's coming with me. Kind of you make that commitment and you just kind of stick to it. I'm not opposed to shooting deer with guns, but yeah, I prefer to do it with a bow. Personally, I think I like the blood trail better. I have a real hard time when I shoot them with guns, like pinpointing where exactly they were, I guess, And then here in Ohio,
Mhm.
we shoot straight ball cartridges now, but it was, shotguns for the longest time. So kind of limited range
Mhm.
anyway. And then they're out in the middle of let's say, a cut bean field. Good luck pinpointing where the hell you shot the deer. Pretty flat around here for the most part,
Yeah.
Western Ohio. So,
Mhm. I kinda cut my teeth on deer hunting, shotgun hunting, Southern Illinois, and I had that issue a few times where you shoot a deer and then you get down and you're like, "This world looks completely different from down here." There have even been times where I'm in the tree and I kinda make a mental note, "Oh, I shot that deer over there before it ran off," and I call dad over and I'm like, "Go to the left, go to the right." "Yeah, right about there," and he's like, "Yeah, there's blood
yeah.
everywhere. Here's the spot." But,
Yep.
yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah. I mean, here in Ohio, I started out with deer drives. When I was younger, my old man, he grew up shotgun hunting and stuff like that in Southern Ohio with some of my family. And then when I got my
Mhm.
teenage, we met some guys and they were doing deer drives around the area and started doing that. And I was a pretty decent wing shot, but I was a piss poor shot at a running deer. Never shot one
Yeah.
drive that I know that I found, you never know with the deer drives how they go, but
Right.
fun and just the camaraderie of getting everybody together and we after we got done that week, we'd all cut up the deer and everything and it was a good time, man. I had a lot of fun doing it, but
Mhm.
seems like anymore it's real hard to get people to let you drive through their woods.
Yeah, it's tough, so I started deer drives as well, so I started up in Wisconsin, and deer drives are, like, all that they did up there, and, I'm 12, 13 years old, and like, "Oh, I want a steady shot, I don't wanna wound something or
Yeah.
hurt it." I I wanna end it, like, fast as I can,
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem to me like I mean, deer drives end up that way all the time. Hey, there
they
are
do.
times there are folks that are really good shots, and they can drop their deer right away in deer drives, but hey, man, that's not for me. Like, I'd rather take
Mhm.
my time and punch a hole in
Yeah,
something at 20 yards and know, than shoot at something running past me.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I've watched deer go miles and, they're tough animals. I mean, I've seen them, you see them all the time, pretty injured, still moving along pretty good. I know my old man, he hit one with a crossbow this year in the shoulder, and we had a drone come in to look at it. Real nice buck. And through the drone, you could actually see it while it was moving. That deer, as far as we knew, lived up to a couple months later. But you could see the visual, the
Mhm.
shoulder blade movement with the drone, the footage of it, because they pulled up and it was a pretty nice setup. They had their truck bed, flipped it up, had TV screens and everything to where we could see it.
That's cool.
The deer lived. I don't know how it stopped the arrow. He was shooting one of those Raven crossbows. It was a 20-yard shot and somehow just must have hit it right on the right point to where it just busted through but didn't penetrate enough. So they're tough, man.
Mhm. Yeah, they totally are tough, and drones are an awesome tool in the states that allow them, so you can actually see if the deer's alive a lot of time or
Mhm.
oftentimes they're like, "Oh, yeah, it's, like, right there," and they can find out in, like, 2 seconds. I know a lot of folks prefer dogs and dogs blood tracking their deer instead of drones, but, man, I think drones are a great tool, and I wish that Iowa would at least let, like, somebody with a license come in and be able to at least tell you, "Yep, we found him, he's down over here," but that's not the case with our state here.
So the guy that actually came with the drone with us had a dog. He's a local firefighter, actually, one of the local cities around us. He has a dog and a drone, which is super cool because, yeah, especially early season with those drones, it seems like they're not going to, with the foliage on the trees, they're not going to be able to obviously see as much through the, over top, the overstories. So, yeah, it's cool if you can find somebody that has both options because then you don't have to call somebody else. But yeah, that
Mhm.
definitely sucks. Well, you're not able to do that. And I
Yeah,
get
there
where
were a couple years ago, there was a deer that I shot at, like, 10 yards, but the angle wasn't perfect, and it was a nice deer, came out from under me, and I was, like, certain this deer was toasted. But then, one thing leads to the next, you're following the blood trail, you get to a fence, you call some neighbors, you cross the fence, you bump them, and then you go into some standing corn, and the next day, I went out and it was like, couldn't find him, but he was, 150 class deer, 150-inch class deer, and, like so I called the dog guy and he was like, "Alright, I can come out there and meet you out there in X amount of hours, and it's gonna be like $600 if I'm out there, and then if I recover it, it's another 100." And I was like, "Holy cow. With my taxidermy bill, if you find this thing, there's no way I can afford that."
I mean, at that point, you might as well pay for a guide,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? That's
Mhm.
yeah, that I mean, I don't it it was definitely not that pricey, at least where I'm at. I will say that. I've worked with 2 different guys on, drones, and then the one guy had a dog
Mhm.
with him, so
Hmm. I know that in Ohio, you can also hunt over bait. I know some folks have corn they'll put out. Is that in the whole state, or is that in, like, regions?
if you ain't baiting, you're waiting, It's, yeah, that's the whole We we run the corn for sure, and I don't very rarely am I killing big bucks over corn, but for kids and new hunters, man, it's awesome. And, hitting the
Mhm,
deer route to the corn, finding trails and stuff like that, man, it's killer. And if like I said, I own 10 acres out back here at the house, and if I didn't have the ability to corn, I doubt that be able to kill, uh I'd be able to kill deer on my property, but not in a reasonable amount of time.
mhm. And when, like, your livelihood depends on harvesting that meat, I know in our house, we almost all the way replaced beef with venison. We really rely on, the 2, 3 deer that I take per year for us to have food and for us to, afford the rest of our groceries, and,
Yeah.
I know in the past couple years, you guys have been processing more and more deer. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we actually me and Jake Grissom that you met at the boat shoot, we put in a walk-in
Mhm,
cooler underneath my shop, so kinda have a space where I can fit, I don't know, 6 to 8 deer probably comfortably in there. If we got buddies that kill early season or whatever, and then we kinda did a process to where we're doing our own summer sausage, and it's pretty good, man. My wife, Jen, she is amazing when it comes to cooking different spices and the flavors and stuff like that. We actually just did my biggest batch ever last weekend. I had a couple cousins over, and we did, 220 pounds of summer sausage that last weekend.
Oh
That's
my
smoking it
goodness.
on pull behind smoker. We did 2 runs on the smoker, started about 4 AM and about 9 AM, both batches were done. So, it was a
Mhm.
long weekend, but it's good, man. Happy to be able to help people out and butcher some deer for a few folks here and there, make a little bit extra cash, and it's, something I enjoy doing.
Do you do, like, a cold dunk with your summer sausage? My dad said something about when he makes his, they
Mhm.
cool it at some point before they turn up the heat again.
So
If you're doing 220 pounds of that, is Jen okay with you filling the bathtub with ice and water or what?
So I have a pretty decent sized cooler that I pull it straight off, so I don't put it back on the smoker. But so when it reaches temperature, yeah, as quick as possible, I get a bunch of bags of ice, and about 100 pounds at a time, I can fit into this one giant thing, one giant cooler with ice, and just basically a big giant ice bath. Dunk it all in there, and you let it sit in there for about an
Mhm.
hour, cool down real quick, and then I hang it back in my walk-in cooler overnight before I package it, stuff like that. Yeah, man, it's the grinding process, the stuffing process. It's a long, tedious task, but it was a lot easier with help. I tried to do it last couple years. I've done
I
it by
bet.
myself, and it gets a little boring, I guess, when you're by yourself, but you get some buddies around and drink some beers and bullshit a little bit. It's not too bad.
Mhm. Hell yeah. So I'm talking to a lot of deer hunters and asking them what they do in their time off, and I'm hearing a lot of, "Oh, of course I'm deer hunting." A lot of people have like the traditions are like, "Well, me and dad go to deer camp," or "Hey, yeah, I've got a chunk of land behind my place here where I'm hunting, or I'm hunting public." But like, what is it really that kind of sucks you in with deer hunting? Like, what's the whole reason why you're willing to spend this valuable time that you're earning driving truck for so much to go hunt deer?
I think it all started when I was a kid, man. My grandpa Fenner on my mom's side, so my mom's father, he had God, I
Uh-huh.
forget what it was. This 12-point buck, typical 12-point buck, which my lease is about not even a half a mile from where this buck was shot. And it was a 172 and some change. I mean, just gorgeous. I grew up looking at it,
Wow.
grew up watching the Real Tree Monster Bucks videos and TNT Outdoors on Saturday mornings and stuff like that, man. And I was
Mhm.
grew up in the country or nothing like that, but, I loved it, and every chance that I got when I got a little older, rabbit hunting, kinda started out rabbit hunting, squirrel hunting, stuff like that, and still to this day, I enjoy that. I shouldn't say that I spend all my PTO deer hunting because I just went on a snow goose hunt out in Colorado a couple weeks ago with one of my real good buddies, my dad, his dad, we went out there. Didn't see a lot of snow geese, 100% on shots. My dad shot once, killed it, but great weekend. Went out there for a long weekend, but it's just hunting in general. I think it's mostly the camaraderie. Me and all my buddies, the day before opening day, we all have a big bow shoot. We come out here and we'll shoot throughout the summer, but day before opening day, everybody comes over, man. We drink, we have a good time. Mostly nobody really hunts opening morning, unless you got one pinpointed and you can get in and out on access, but typically nobody's hunting. So it's just
Mhm.
everybody's having a good time. Bring the kids, we can fire up the smoker, smoke some meat, eat, have a good time. But I love the camaraderie, even though bow hunting is like a solo sport. Once the deer are on the ground, man, we always get together. We have hanging parties and stuff like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, deer hunting and, like, deer camp is the best, especially when, you wait for everyone to come back and you wait to see what's in the tailgates from everybody. There's something about that is super exciting, but also bird hunting is exciting too. It's like action in your face happening now. Like, I'm sure your snow goose hunt was, like, just a blast going out west and doing that.
So it was, and like the guides were super cool, man. They felt really bad. They had a shit ton of birds there the day before in these fields, and seems like it's one of those things they're there, they're not. I've never personally, this is my first
Yeah.
experience with waterfowl hunting. So my buddy Matt, he's out there for work. He's been doing it pretty heavily since he's been out there, kind of doing it here and there back home. And he's starting to buy the decoys. So hell, might as well get into it. That's half the battle is getting the decoys, and deer hunting's expensive enough, man. I've never gotten into that waterfowl, but I could see myself getting into it. It's just the camaraderie, the hanging out and stuff like that. You kill a buck in Ohio, we
Mhm.
only got one deer around here, so plenty of extra time to go do some other
Yeah.
things.
I had a chance a couple years ago to hunt wood ducks for the first time, and, there was a day I went out with my buddy. We went out in kayaks. We paddled out when it was still dark. We got our spots all set up, and we filled our limit on wood ducks, which was, like, a really, really fun time. While we were sitting there, a squirrel walked out while we were wood duck hunting. So I shot a squirrel, I shot a wood duck, and we were done by, like, 9 in the morning, so I hopped in a tree stand and I shot a doe with my bow in the same day. I was a
Dude,
fish short of, like, the Grand Slam, Iowa.
bro. Oh, yeah. That's freaking awesome, dude. We have wood
Yeah.
ducks around here actually on the creek behind the house. We're gonna make a wood duck box. The Ohio Outdoor News puts on a thing, and you can do it as a kid and send in your picture and stuff like that. And we're gonna
Yeah.
do that with duck. And yeah, man. Wood ducks are
That's a
beautiful
lot of
birds.
fun. Even Ducks Unlimited have opportunities for you to buy some cheaper wood duck boxes through them too.
Okay.
That's like an organization that I work with sometimes at work to get them done. But in our county here, I work for a county conservation. We have a ton of wood duck boxes out. And then this time of year, we get to climb up a ladder, check out, well, just before this time of year, we get to climb up a ladder, knock on the door, and see what's going on inside the wood duck houses. So
Okay.
before the eggs are laid. So we'll see
Yeah.
if there's eggs that, part of the egg from last year, if it was a successful wood duck house, and then it's kind of fun to track the data and see what's happening. So it's been kind of fun learning a little bit about waterfowl that way. But I'm in the Mississippi Flyway where I live, and it is insane what people do for ducks where I live. Like
Okay.
literally I'm 2 blocks away from the Mississippi River, and like it is like a wild west type situation out here when it's duck
Arkansas type
season.
shit. Like, I've
Yeah,
heard some
like
stories
race to
about,
your
like,
spot.
Arkansas where you see them racing to wherever they're going to shoot and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, just wild. Um, so hunting, obviously it's a passion of yours, passion of mine. Deer hunting, hunting birds, turkeys coming up here. What's it like being so passionate about hunting and having boys that are just following in your footsteps with you?
It's amazing. I mean, it's a blessing for sure. I think every father hopes that their kid, boy, girl, wants to hunt or be an outdoorsman, especially if you hunt or fish. I'm sure that everybody hopes for that. And I don't push for it. It's just
Mhm.
getting them out there. I mean, we live out in the country now. We got a creek in our backyard. My kids have been in the woods all day, every day since they were babies. I put them in a backpack, couple months old, if we're going shed hunting or whatever, and we're gonna hit the CRP field. Yeah, we can't walk through the woods. I don't want you getting caught up in briars or nothing like that, but we're gonna be outside, most
Mhm.
days. And I think just immersing the kids into it. And today's day and age, there's too many kids just want to be in front of a screen. And I just try to get them outside as much as possible, dude. And they love it and they're obsessed with it. So getting them involved with the trail cameras,
Yeah.
the cell cameras help out with that,
I
watching
think that
the
there's always a part where you're, like, really hoping that they're into the same stuff as you, but you see, like, in some sports I see it in wrestling especially, when a parent is like, "My kid is going to do this." Like, "It is the
Mhm.
best thing ever. I loved wrestling. They're just going to do this."
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that that's always the way to go. Like, especially hunting, it's like a very sensitive thing where you're taking
Oh,
lives, and like to force that on somebody, is something unique. Do you think a lot of people force their kids into hunting?
I think I'm sure that it happens and it's probably something that is maybe pushed a little bit harder than what sometimes you even need to. Like I know, like with my oldest boy at least, he's been asking constantly he wants to be the one shooting. And it's like, you gotta get some age. We have to have some understanding there. Of course, he watches me butcher
Mhm.
100 plus chickens a year, and there's dozens of deer that get hung out here at the house. He knows what death is. He knows where his food comes from. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
that every kid's different. and some maybe get pushed a little bit too quick, and then that's gonna pull them back from wanting to hunt later on in life or going forward. And then also there's
Mhm.
also the ones I think get ruined when they shoot the 180-inch buck as their first buck at 5 years old and don't really know what kind of thing that they've done. They don't really grasp the fact that what they've done, you know? But hey, teach
Yeah.
their own. Your parents
I have
get
some
to
bud
do their own thing.
I've got some buddies at the bow shop that I shoot at, and, this year his son, he shot a 182, with a muzzle loader. I
Mhm.
mean, this deer is giant, and, I was in a big buck contest with him, and I ended up beating him in the big buck contest. I killed a real big one this year,
Oh,
and
yeah, you
he
did.
was upset. He comes to me and he goes, "I'm mad at you." He said, "I'm mad at you." And I said, "You're mad at me? Why?" He goes, "Well, I was gonna, sell my winnings from shooting my buck so I could buy some bubble gum." So, like, he had no idea
Yeah.
what he had harvested. It was like, "This is a deer of a lifetime, dude, and
Mhm.
you're after bubble gum,"
Yeah.
which is not
Yeah.
his fault at all.
No,
He
it's
also
not.
his dad owns and runs a bow shop. He sees deer on the walls all the time, and
Yeah.
the kid is the funniest kid that you'll ever meet. But he was just like, "Man, I was after bubble gum because I got a good deer." That was where his
Yeah.
mind was at.
Hey, and like I said, it's, to each their own, man. Different strokes for different folks, brother. You know, it's, who am I to if a 180 comes out in front of my son and he's got the gun in his hand and I'm tagged out, am I gonna tell him not to shoot it? Probably not, you know? So, it's the way it
Exactly.
goes.
So what kind of outdoors things, if you have some time off and you're spending some time off with Tucker, you guys are doing stuff all the time. I get Snapchats from you that you're riding four-wheelers or you're fishing, or what kind of stuff does he really, really like other than, deer hunting?
So he really enjoys fishing, obsessed with it. We have a creek out back. We got some rock bass and some largemouth bass that are in it. That nice little spill off kind of right there in the backyard that we can see him. He can go down there and fish by himself, hook him up with a crankbait or a little rooster tail, and actually met some guys at another working class event here in Ohio. Dustin Cole, he's been on a few different podcasts. Got us hooked on these rooster tails, dude, and we
Mhm.
just slay him out there, man. And he'll be out there every day if he could. It don't matter. Creek rises, he wants to go fishing. I'm like, bud, kind of hard to catch much right now. The creek's moving so damn fast. I'm afraid that you're going to fall in it, or it's going to be hard pressed for you to hardly reel the
Mhm.
reel back in. But loves fishing. He just wants to be outside nonstop. We do a lot of gardening, cutting, splitting our own wood. We heat our whole house with wood fires. I really enjoy that habitat work too. Even for the whitetail, we got a lot of invasives around here. Honeysuckle, terrible around me. I've been working
Oh,
on
yeah.
trying to eradicate that a little bit. But Tuck, for the most part, he just wants to be with me.
We remove a lot of that. We also remove a lot of garlic mustard. That's another one, and then we get a lot of vines that come up too that are like oriental bittersweet in a lot of our parks, and folks love coming out and helping with that too. It's like a really therapeutic thing, I think, is just kinda knowing you're making a difference in the ecosystem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, man. It's you just be amazed at what's gonna come up once you kinda clear that and let that sunlight kinda hit that forest floor too. A lot of the trees around here are just so tall, and all it is honeysuckle blanketed on the forest floor, and you cut that open and you kinda I don't even spray anything. I remove it, and then I try to keep on it. I'm only doing a little bit at a time, but, keeping it cut back every year, and as long as it
Mhm.
ain't going to seed head, eventually something else is gonna take over.
Yeah, there's a special time of year that's like right now and also in about December for us here in Southeast Iowa, where the only green plants, if it's not a tree, is honeysuckle. The first thing to
Mhm.
green up here is honeysuckle, and the last thing that's green is honeysuckle. So it's really easy when you have a program when you're like, okay, everybody, we're cutting the stuff with leaves right now. If it's got leaves on it, just cut it down, and then we're gonna do
Yep.
like a basal bark treatment on it later. But
Yeah.
boy, is it feel nice to get some of that stuff down. But it's a never ending battle. Do you guys ever use fire on your place?
Do a little bit, and I'd love to, I know my neighbor, so my neighbor has, like, a wetlands area, a lot of CRP and stuff like that, and they actually did a burn on a CRP last year. I'd love to maybe get into something. We have about 7
Hmm.
acres of woods across the creek, and it really could use a good burn. Some of it's a little bit of a
Hmm.
wetlands type deal, and then it has a rise, and then there's some pines in the back, and it's just the thatch layer's ridiculous, and it's basically honeysuckle throughout the whole thing at the on the lower levels.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing all, like, the fun stuff, man. Like, this is
Oh,
all
yeah.
the same kinda stuff that I'm into and I like all the time, and, like, spending your time off doing these things, to me, just kinda, like, resets me. What is doing a lot of the outdoor things that you do, from hunting to fishing in the creek with the boys to managing your property, what does that do to you when it's time to go back to work? Do you feel like you're, like, refreshed, ready to go, reset, or what does it do for you?
I do, man. I mean, if I get a couple days off of work and whether it's just being outside, obviously my job, I'm delivering food, I'm in and out of in the elements every day. So it doesn't matter cold, wet, snowing, doesn't matter. I'm outside. So when I get home, a lot of the times, especially in the winter, my wife, she's probably not going to take the boys outside when it's freezing balls. Well, when I get home, I'm already cold. Hey, let's go outside. We're going to be out there in the elements and we're gonna get used to it, just because it's cold don't mean you can't be outside, and it does. It refreshes
Right,
me being out
right.
there with the boys and just getting them into it, and, if I get a chance to go, whether it's on a fishing trip with some of my buddies or get to go on a hunting trip or something like that, man, it's nice. It gives me a nice little reset and kinda when you come back to work, you kinda remember what you're doing it for.
Mhm. So is your wife into the same kinda things that you are? Like, do you do these things together, or do you do them separately?
So she's killed 2 or 3 deer now with a gun. She took a bow out last year for the first time, hit a doe. We
Uh-huh.
thought we hit it good, trailed it, trailed it, trailed it. Never was able to find it. Went on some property that we weren't able to go on. One of those things, man, tough break. You hate to see it, especially as a first deer that you shoot with a bow. But she's getting into it, man. I think this year we're gonna really get her hunting with her bow a little bit more, maybe earlier in the year, be able to maybe knock down a doe or something
Yeah,
like that. But she loves providing food for the family too. Like I said, she enjoys cooking. So it's really neat to see what she can do with some of the stuff that we bring home out of the field and then what she can turn it
I
into.
bet.
Some of our favorite stuff, we do like venison Phillies is like a really, really good thing that we use out of like some of the roast. She'll shave the meat down and do it on like a Blackstone.
Hell yeah, I
Killer.
do that too, man.
Yeah, dude. Killer. Love it. Yeah.
I've got a I got a meat slicer at home, and what I'll
Okay.
do is I use that meat slicer to make jerky, right? You get your half frozen roast, and you can slice the same
Mhm.
thickness on the slicer, but then also when it's time to make those Philly cheesesteaks, you can set that where it's wide enough where you have, like, a consistent
Oh,
thickness.
yeah.
Buddy, that's what's up.
Oh, yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, that's, like, one of my favorite
Yeah.
venison recipe I used to do like, I'll pound out some of the different cuts out of the hinds and stuff like that, wrap it in bacon, pack it with, like, cream cheese and jalapenos, and we do that forever, but that was one of my
Sure.
favorites, but the Phillies is where it's at, for sure.
Yeah, and, like, what's awesome about deer meat is you can get as complicated as you want with it. For me, a backstrap, if I put a little salt and pepper on it, throw it on the grill, I'm happy. But also, like, I'm dying to make a venison Wellington, right? Where you have like the bread and it's like stuffed with a backstrap inside of it. Like, you can get as technical as you want with that shit. And I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's very rare that you have like an unliked recipe that you find.
So, yeah, we obviously with the walk-in cooler, I get to play with like aging the meat a little bit too, and I mean, you can make some of that
Yeah.
meat to where you can cook it pretty rare and I'd eat it. It's just as good as beef if you do it the right way, I think.
Yeah. I hear from a lot of folks that aren't hunters, that don't eat venison a ton, like I said, I almost replace beef with venison totally for, like, the reasons of health and, like, it's accessible, and I enjoy hunting, so, like, I have some of it. But I hear from a lot of folks that venison is gamey, and they don't like it because it's so gamey. As, like, a butcher and having, like, a badass cook as a wife, what do you think it is that makes it so gamey?
I feel like a lot of people would probably overcook their meat, especially with, like, venison as lean as it is. So you want it to be rare.
Yeah,
You don't wanna especially your steaks, you want them to be rare. As long as your ground has a good amount of, like, your pork fat or whatever kind of fats mixed in with it, it should be pretty decent. Uh, but yeah, I think, like, overall, I'd venture to say it's just overcooking it, thinking that you need to cook the crap out of it
Yeah.
because it is wild game, and I think that a lot of people that don't hunt probably think that.
Yeah. What's interesting is if you look at cook temps for venison, 35 is medium rare, kind of where you want it.
Mhm.
So I pull my venison off usually at 130, so that way it can still rise after you take it off the grill.
Oh, yeah.
And that's pink. Like, it's expected to be pink. If you're eating well done venison, it's like chewing a frickin' hockey puck.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it sucks, man. Like, you don't want to eat that.
No, it's horrible, and it's just like eating a well done steak, like, you're just might as well just throw your money in the trash, feed it to the dogs. It's yeah, I think that that's probably the biggest reason, if I had to guess, if somebody that doesn't like wild game meat or especially venison being as lean as it is, it's probably just a factor of you overcooked it. I prefer
Yeah.
I like squirrel meat. I mean, we eat rabbit meat, we eat all the quote unquote rodents, and
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
all on how you cook it.
Absolutely. I heard from somebody before that that gamey flavor could come from the fat. So deer fat is not the same as beef fat because it's tallow. And with
Right.
tallow, when you're cooking it, it doesn't render. So it doesn't like turn to a flavorful liquid when you cook it. It turns to like a waxy coat on your mouth. And to me, like that's not a pleasant experience typically. So like before I package away all my venison and I'm processing it, I cut it up, you quarter it up, turn it into its cuts, and then silver skin comes off, all the fat is trimmed off, and it's stored without any fat on it at all, and it's amazing. Now, I've had some that was stored with the fat, and there's even glands in the back quarters too. If you don't take
Yeah.
those out, it can make your meat kinda
It'll make
gnarly
it bad.
too.
Yeah.
I don't think every deer is gamey. Some deer are probably more gamey than others. Have you ever shot a deer and you're like, "This one is gamey compared to the last one?"
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get a deer that late October, early November, a buck, you're gonna get that they're gonna stink. I mean, even you walk up to it, it's gonna smell. You're gonna know, and that's gonna come through in the meat too. You definitely, like you said, that gland there in that hind quarter, that's something that you for sure wanna take out, and then removing all the silver skin, getting all that tallow off of there, like you said. It's not like beef fat or pork fat. You don't want that in there. That'd be a yeah, definitely a big thing that would kinda make the meat be more gamey for sure. But that's where we
Yeah.
typically will take our rutted bucks, and we'll turn those into summer sausage typically.
So what percent fat do you like for your summer sausage?
So we do, typically like a batch. We do 12 pounds of venison to 3 pounds of fat, pork fat, and I get it from a local butcher here, guys that I worked with back in the day, and then their dad and them have a butcher shop here just outside of town, and yeah, man, it's awesome situation. I stop over there, good buddies. They hook me up with some pork fat and, usually pick it up right after they butcher a bunch of the fair hogs, so they're good and got good fat on them. And yeah, man, put it up in the freezer for the winter and
Mhm.
it'll take me through the whole winter. We just barely used the last of it, I think this last batch of summer sausage, but I mix it in with my hamburger meat when I'm grinding venison and everything like that. It's definitely
Mhm.
something that we enjoy doing.
Yeah, what is your favorite cut? I mean, as a butcher, what's your favorite cut of the deer?
So I love that. So the catfish tenders, or I don't know what you would call them, what you guys call them out there, kind of the inners,
Inner tenderloins?
Yeah. So sounds I'll take those and I'll eat those damn near raw. I'll let them cut them out and you slice
Yeah.
them up real thin and put a little salt and pepper on those things, and that's probably my favorite. We do it like I said, we do a lot of back straps, just eat them like steaks, man. Eat them like medallions, cut them up in thick
Mhm.
2-inch pieces and just throw them on a hot skillet or on a grill or something like that, and that that'd probably be my favorite way to eat it. Probably my favorite cut.
Yeah, I have a tradition where the next day after I take a deer, I do inner tenderloins and eggs. I have that
Oh,
tradition where I cook them in a cast iron on the stove with, just like ground coarse pepper and salt. And then I do back straps. My favorite venison recipe of all time is I take back straps, which are typical tenderloins, and then I'll put them on I'll spice them up with salt, pepper, garlic. I usually, instead of regular salt, I'll put Lowry's seasoning salt on there. I put it
okay.
on the smoker until it reaches about 100 degrees, and then on the other grill on the other side of the deck, Yes, wife. I need 2 grills. I have a cast iron with butter in there, and I do a
Mm.
reverse sear. So once it hits 100, then I'll put it over there, do a reverse sear, and then once it hits about 128 to 130, I'll pull it off, and it'll cook itself the rest of the way inside, and it is like my favorite all-time venison meal.
Oh, wow. You get all scientific about it. You and my wife would definitely get along. I'm more like, that looks pretty good, you know? Like that, but shit, you got me getting hungry, Marcus.
Yeah, a couple years ago, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law got me Bluetooth temperature probes, game
Ooh.
changer, you know?
Oh,
Throw them on the
yeah.
smoker, stick those things in there, and it's like I have data from my different cooks that I like the best, and it has turned me into a frickin' monster.
I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm gonna have to look into those Bluetooth smoking the probes because with our smoker, that's one of the things that like I'm constant like if I like you got to trust the process, especially with wood. You know, it's I cook with
Yeah.
cordwood and stuff like that on our big smoker, so it's trusting the process a lot. And to have probes in there, kind of telling you the information as you go, that would be ideal.
Yeah, especially if you have a cold spot on your grill. One way so like I have a Traeger, and on my Traeger, I can check if there's a spot that's not as hot by taking cinnamon rolls. And if I make a batch of cinnamon rolls, you can tell which cinnamon roll isn't cooked the best. It's kind of like a grid. I know there's not
Oh,
a hot
golly.
spot over there. And then that way when I probe something, you know, you want to probe the lowest temperature thing to make sure everything's cooked to temp. So I always make
Correct.
sure I probe whatever it is I'm putting in that spot.
The more you know. And cinnamon rolls are delicious, so that's
Yeah.
a win-win there.
Hell yeah. Um, so changing topics, I work with somebody who is from Nebraska, and she claims that when they make chili in Nebraska, they eat it with a cinnamon roll. What does Ohio have for like their specialty food thing? Here in Iowa, it is tenderloin sandwich. In Chicago, where I was kind of born and raised, it was like pizza and hot dogs. What is Ohio's thing?
So, I don't know. I know we have, like, the Skyline chili. I don't know if you ever heard of Skyline or any of that. That's like a Cincinnati dish.
Never.
So that'd be like the Ohio dish, I guess, that would come to mind is like your Coney dogs, your, like, chili, stuff like that. We have a few, like,
Yeah.
local chili dog type restaurants and stuff like that, but, I don't know. I guess that would be the only thing that would come to mind when it comes to, like, Ohio dishes when it comes to food. We like to drink a lot of Busch Light around here.
And also, Yingling just came to frickin' Iowa, so that's awesome.
Oh, it always seemed like it tasted better when we couldn't get it in Ohio. I'm just saying. My family's big Pittsburgh Steelers fans. So, like, dad would always go to Pittsburgh and bring them back, you know,
Okay.
when he'd come back from PA back in the day. And, yeah, I always felt like maybe they just, it was all in my head, but it feels like it tasted better when I couldn't get it.
We had to run it up from Missouri where I live now. We went on a hog hunting trip a few years ago, and we just brought cases and cases of it back up from Missouri.
Shit, okay. But it made its way out there, huh?
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I like
Finally,
it.
we have it here. Yeah, it's pretty I like it too.
Yeah.
All right, so, I digress. It's easy for me to get distracted by food and beer. So, deer hunting, being a country boy, are kind of the things you like to do with your paid time off. If there was somebody out there listening who was like, "Man, I'm also in Ohio. I would love to start to get into some of this stuff that Jake's into. This stuff sounds awesome." Between fishing and hunting and butchering and cooking up delicious meal, do you have any advice for somebody who's looking to get into the outdoors to do those things?
So like I said, I'm a big fan of podcasts. Obviously, if they're listening to you, they're probably into podcasts as well. There's so many different podcasts out there that are anymore. You can find a podcast at any niche that you're into. I mean, you can find anything. And it's just something that I can listen to kind of almost passively that just kind of passes the time if I'm doing busy work or whatever. That's a great way. Reaching out. I'm not real big on social media or anything like that, but like there's so many people that I've met going to different events. If somebody that you're listening to on a podcast has an event or they're going to be somewhere, go there. It's not always about meeting the people that are there. Sometimes you meet some random guy that's also there and you guys got a connection and you become buddies. You know what I'm saying? And I've had that time and time again.
Yeah. Who knows? You might even become friends with a guy that wears jorts to an archery shoot.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Jake, it's been a pleasure chatting with you about some of the things you do with your paid time off. Time is such a valuable thing in our lives, and it's something that we can never replace. I appreciate you telling me about your passions, about how it is raising your kids to become outdoors people just like you, and I can't wait to hear what you have coming up in the future.
Awesome, man. Yeah, dude. I've good chatting with you, Marcus. Always a good time. We got to get together one of these other times. Me, you, and Steve need to link up, maybe do a hunt together.
All right, well, I hope to see you at the Working Class Bow Hunter shoot this year. It's been a great time chatting with you. Take care, and thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Paid Time Outdoor Podcast.